Each eyeball has 3 layers, 3 coverings, that is the outermost covering, middle coat and innermost coat. So, innermost coat is formed by retina, that is the neural layer, and middle coat is formed by ciliary body and choroid, and outermost coat is formed by sclera and cornea. So, today we discuss about the sclera. Sclera is the toughest and fibrous part of the eyeball which gives the shape of the eyeball and protect eyeball. So, it is a 5/6 part of the eyeball is covered by sclera, and anterior 1/5, 5/6 part is covered by sclera and anterior 1/6 part is covered by cornea, and there is a junction between the sclera and the cornea, that is called sclerocorneal junction or limbus. So, today we only discuss about that, what is the sclera, what kinds of diseases are present in the sclera and how to diagnose and how to treat. Outer surface of the sclera is covered by the Tenon's capsule, that is a thin transparent layer which covers the sclera, and anterior part is covered by the bulbar conjunctiva, and this is the cut section of the eyeball. So, it is a inner surface. Inner surface is lies in contact with the choroid, and there is a potential space that is called suprachoroidal space, that is present between sclera and choroid. And here this is the anteriorly at the junction of the cornea and sclera, there is a groove that is called furrow, and here is it presents the canal of Schlemm, and which the canal of Schlemm is, the function of canal of Schlemm is to drain the aqueous humor. So, in any case when there is obstruction occur in the canal of Schlemm, that causes glaucoma or raised intraocular pressure. And here thickness of the sclera. So, sclera is thickened posteriorly and it gradually become thinner towards the equator. Equator is the middle part, this one. This is the equator and this one is the posterior part, and sclera is thin in female and children, and its posteriorly its thickness is 1 millimeter, and it is thinnest at the point where the extraocular muscles are inserted. Here its thickness is 0.3 millimeter, and here this is the opening. Sclera is posteriorly perforated where the optic nerves and blood vessels are entered, that is called lamina cribrosa. It is a sieve-like structure, multiple openings are present, and each opening allows the entrance of the optic nerves and blood vessels. Then aperture of the sclera. Anteriorly there is the anterior ciliary vessels are present. Anteriorly where there is this is the anterior ciliary vessels where there is opening, here open, and in the middle part there are vertex vein are entered, and in posterior part there is the optic nerve and the long and short ciliary nerves are open through that apertures. So, layers of the sclera. Sclera is also having how many layers? 3 layers. This is called episclera, sclera proper and lamina fusca. So, episclera is the thin vascularized layer of the connective tissue. It contains fibroblast, macrophages and lymphocytes. And then sclera proper, it is avascular structure and it is having the dense bundle of the collagen fibers. Then lamina fusca, it is the innermost blend with subchoroidal and supraciliary lamina, which is in contact with the uveal tissue. This is the innermost, this is the outer. So, any kind of inflammation present in the sclera, that is called according to the involvement of the layer. If only superficial layer is involved, it is called episcleritis, and if deep layer is involved, it is called scleritis. So, episcleritis. Episcleritis is the benign recurrent inflammations of the episclera. It also involving the overlying Tenon's capsule, but not the underlying sclera. Here inflammation is up to the level of Tenon's capsule and a superficial layer of sclera. Etiology, its etiology is unknown, but it may be associated with the gout, psoriasis and rosacea and hypersensitivity reactions of the endogenous tubercular and staphylococcal toxins. Then incidence. Episcleritis is more common in male as compared to female, and it also affects the young adults. Then pathology. In pathology, there is the localized lymphocytic infiltrations of the episcleral tissues. There is present edema, congestion of the overlying Tenon's capsule, and also there is present congestion in the conjunctiva. Symptoms. Patient is having gritty sensation due to redness and engorgement of the vessels, mild ocular discomfort due to it is described as gritty and burning sensation. Sometimes foreign body sensation is also present due to engorgement of the vessels. Then signs. Episcleritis is 2 types. First is the nodular and the second one is the diffuse. And nodular is called nodular episcleritis and the diffuse is called diffuse episcleritis. In case of diffuse scleritis, whole eye may be involved to some extent. Sometimes it may also involve the 1 or 2 quadrants of the eyeball. And in nodular episcleritis, it is localized. It is localized a pink and a purple flat nodule and surrounded by the ingestion. It is seen in the 2 to 3 millimeter away from the limbus. And these nodules are firm, tender and overlying conjunctiva moves freely. If it is conjunctival foreign body granuloma, then conjunctiva is firmly attached. But if it is episcleritis, then overlying conjunctiva is freely movable over the lesion. Then clinical course, it is spontaneously resolved. There is no any treatment, but recurrence is also common in this case of episcleritis. And sometimes fleeting type of disease is present. It means it is appear at a particular period, maybe every 2 months, 3 months. So, that is called episcleritis periodica. DD, differential diagnosis. Episcleritis is differentiated from the inflamed pinguicula. We have already discussed about it, conjunctiva. Pinguicula is present in the yellowish color nodules away from the limbus. And scleritis, episcleritis is differentiated from the scleritis. Scleritis is the deep layer involvement of the sclera. And a foreign body reaction or on bulbar conjunctiva. When there is foreign body present and a foreign body granuloma is present, it should be differentiated from the episcleritis. So, this inflamed pinguicula is the conjunctival lesion, scleritis is the deep layer of the sclera, and foreign body granuloma, it is present in the superficial layer of the conjunctiva, and the conjunctiva is firmly attached. But in case of the episcleritis, conjunctiva is freely movable over the lesion. So, in this way you can differentiate it. Then treatment. Topical corticosteroid drops are given 3 to 4 hourly. Cold compressions are applied with closed list, and systemic non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are given for symptomatic relief. It relieves the pain and inflammation, and these are flurbiprofen, endomethaxine and oxyfen-butazone. These are NSAID. So, next we discuss about the scleritis. Scleritis is the inflammation of deeper layer of the sclera, and it is more common in female. Scleritis is more common in female, but episcleritis is more common in male and young adults, and it also involves the elderly person. So, etiology, its etiology is the autoimmune collagen disorders. Patient is having the chronic disease like rheumatoid arthritis, Wegener's granulomatosis, polyarthritis nodosa, systemic lupus erythematosus and ankylosing spondylitis. And second one is the metabolic disorders. Metabolic disorders means gout and thyrotoxicosis. And infections, these are the herpes zoster infection, staphylococcal infection and streptococcal infection. Fourth one is the granulomatous disease. Granulomatous disease like tuberculosis, syphilis, sarcoidosis and leprosy. And miscellaneous conditions also causes scleritis, that is irradiation, chemical burns, Ogut-Kangi syndrome, Hurda syndrome and Behçet's disease and rosacea. Then surgically induced scleritis. Some patients are also having this kind of scleritis, and it appears within 6 months of the post-operatively. And some scleritis is also idiopathic. So, these are all about etiology. Then pathology. In scleritis, infiltration of the polymorph nuclear neutrophils and lymphocytes, plasma cells and macrophages. And after their infiltration, there is the fibrinoid necrosis and destructions of the collagen tissues occur. And after the destruction of the collagen tissue, granuloma surrounded by the multinucleated epithelial giant cells. Then classification. Scleritis is classified into 2 groups. Anterior scleritis is most common, it involves 98%. Posterior scleritis is very rare, it may be 2%. And anterior scleritis is again divided into 2 groups. First is the non-necrotizing and second one is necrotizing. Non-necrotizing is again 2 types, diffuse and nodular, and necrotizing is with inflammation and without inflammation. Symptoms. Patient is having moderate to severe pain, deep and boring in character, and patient wakes up early in the morning due to the pain, and this pain radiates to the jaw and temple, and localized or diffused redness is present on examination, and patient is having mild to moderate photophobia. What is photophobia? Intolerance of light. And lacrimation. What is lacrimation? Excessive secretion of the tear. And what is epiphora? How to differentiate epiphora and lacrimation? Lacrimation is the excessive secretion of the tear due to any kind of irritation or inflammatory condition, and epiphora is their secretion is normal, but there is due to obstruction, overflow of tear is seen, that is called epiphora, because of tear is not properly drainage. Signs. In non-necrotizing anterior diffuse scleritis, this is the diffuse scleritis, it is the commonest type, it is the widespread inflammation, it involves the 1 or 2 quadrants of the eyeball, and it is also raised, these pink color and purple color raised vessels are called are significant sign of the scleritis. Then non-necrotizing and non-necrotizing anterior nodular scleritis. Nodular means it is localized here. It is involved the small part, and it may be 1 or 2 purple or red in color and slightly elevated from the sclera, and it is usually situated near the limbus. Sometimes nodules, these nodules are present around the limbus, and that form a annular circle, that is called annular scleritis. Multiple anterior nodular scleritis is present around the limbus. Then anterior necrotizing scleritis with inflammation. Here a acute and severe form of the scleritis characterized by the dense and localized inflammation, and it is associated with the infarction due to vasculitis, and here necrosis of the sclera occur, and due to necrosis there is the thinning of the sclera is occur, and it is only covered by the Tenon's capsules and conjunctiva, and you can able to see the bluish color through this transparent area, that is the uveal tissue, and it may also affect the uvea and causes uveitis. Then anterior necrotizing scleritis without inflammation. Here inflammation is absent, and it is called scleromalacia perforans. It is occur in the patient having the chronic disease like rheumatoid arthritis, and yellowish patch, there is the yellowish color or patch are present which gradually destroy, and it obliterates the vessels, and that causes the ischemia, and overlying episclera and the conjunctiva is completely separate from the surrounding normal sclera, and in this case sometime bulging of the uveal tissues occur, and through when intraocular pressure is raised, these tissues are bulged more forward, and that condition is called the sclera, or ectasia is also called staphyloma. So, and sometimes this layer is very thin and it can't bear the pressure, so it may perforate, That is called, uh, uh, so that's why it is called scleromalacia perforans. Without inflammation it may perforate, and in spontaneous perforation is occur. Then posterior scleritis. Posterior scleritis is very rare, and it suddenly diagnosed when we examine the fundus. It is present behind the equator. So, we can't assess the examination of anterior segment, and it is also associated with the inflammation of the adjoining structures like exudative retinal detachment. If patient is having the detachment or macular edema, proptosis or limitations of the ocular movement due to involvement of the posterior part of the sclera. So, in this case when we examine the fundus, we suddenly diagnose there is a groove, and blood vessels are look like coming out from the groove, just like a optic cup in glaucoma cases. So, complications. Its complication is when involvement of uvea is occur, is causes secondary glaucoma, and if affect the lens, it then complicated cataract, and when cornea is involved, that is called sclerosing keratitis, and keratolysis, destruction of the what? Cornea. So, these are complications, and these are the investigation: TLC, DLC, ESR, serum level, immune complex, rheumatoid factor, anti-nuclear antibody, LE cells, immunological survey, FTA, FBS, VDRL for syphilis, serum uric acid for to diagnose the gout, urine analysis, Montauk's test for TB, and X-ray chest, paranasal sinuses to assess the any sinus problem, sacroiliac joint and orbit to rule out the foreign body. Then treatment. In non-necrotizing scleritis, topical steroids are given, and systemic indomethacins are given 100 milligram daily, and then its dose is reduced, and 75 milligram is given until the resolve of the treatment. Then necrotizing scleritis. In necrotizing scleritis, topical steroids are given in heavy doses, as well as steroids are also given in oral form and tapering doses. Then if patient is non-responsive to these topical steroids and oral steroids, then we give the immunosuppressive agents like cyclophosphamide, and subconjunctival injection of steroid in case of the scleritis is contraindicated, because it may causes the thinning of the sclera and perforation. So, subconjunctival steroid injection is avoided in case of the scleritis. Only topical and oral form is given. Then blue sclera. What is blue sclera? Blue sclera is the condition where sclera is thinned out, and uveal tissue is seen through the thin sclera, that is called blue sclera, and it is asymptomatic condition, there is no any active complaint, and marked generalized blue discoloration of the sclera is due to the thinning of the sclera, and it occurs in these following conditions: osteogenesis imperfecta, Marfan syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, pseudoxanthoma elasticum, Buphthalmus, high myopia, and healed scleritis. What is Buphthalmus? Buphthalmus is the congenital glaucoma. It occurs in the child, and in that case sclera is also thinning, so you see the blue sclera. Then staphyloma. What is staphyloma? Staphyloma is the ectatic protrusion of the sclera. When there is the weak point, any part of the sclera is weakened where the uveal tissue protrude forwards, that is called staphyloma. And according to the location, it is divided into 5 types. So, localized bulging of the weak and thin outer tunic of the eyeball. Eyeball means cornea and sclera, both are involved, and lined by the uveal tissue and which shines through the thinned out of the fibrous tissue. This is the definition of the staphyloma. So, if this is anterior staphyloma where cornea is bulged out, and intercalary staphyloma. Intercalary staphyloma is at the level of limbus, and here only root of the iris is bulged out. Here bulging is occur and lined by the root of the iris, and then this is the ciliary staphyloma. Here bulging it out and lined by the ciliary body. Then this is the equatorial part. Here bulging is out and lined by the choroid uveal tissue, and this is the posterior staphyloma. This is the posterior staphyloma. Here also uveal tissue is seen, but because of its presence, it is present posteriorly, we can't diagnose it, but accidentally we diagnose it when examine the fundus of the patient. So, anterior staphyloma. Anterior staphyloma is also called corneal staphyloma, and it is lined by the cornea, and anterior staphyloma is ectasia of the cornea as lined by which tissue? What is present behind the cornea? Iris. So, it is lined by the iris, and it may also occur due to perforating corneal ulcer and penetrating injury. Penetrating injury is healed out, and after healing layer is cornea is weakened, and when pressure is increases, uveal tissue protrude outside, that is called anterior staphyloma. So, cause is the corneal ulcer and injury. Then this is intercalary staphyloma. Intercalary staphyloma is, it may also occur after injury, when injury is present at the limbus, and after healing uveal tissue protrude. Here which kind of uveal tissue is present here? Which part of the uvea is present? Root of the iris. In anterior staphyloma, iris is present, intercalary root of the iris is present, and ectasia occur at the weakened part at the limbus, and it is localized. So, it is called intercalary staphyloma. And due to intercalary staphyloma, there is occur marked astigmatism. There is the, what is astigmatism? There is difference in the dimensions of the cornea, and it affects the root of the iris, so it also causes secondary glaucoma, and its treatment is localized staphylectomy under the heavy doses of oral steroids are given. Then ciliary staphyloma. Ciliary staphyloma is present, this is the third, just close to the limbus. Intercalary is present at limbus, but ciliary staphyloma is next to the limbus, and here bulging of the, here in ciliary staphyloma root of the iris is bulged, present, but in ciliary staphyloma, which part? Ciliary body is bulging of the sclera is occur and lined by ciliary body, and it is 2 to 3 millimeter away from the limbus. And thinning of the sclera it may also occur due to perforating injury of the eyeball or complications of the scleritis or glaucoma, absolute glaucoma. Then equatorial staphyloma. Equatorial staphyloma is present in the equatorial region, and it is lined by which uveal tissue? Choroid. Bulging in at the level of equatorial tissue lined by the choroidal tissues, and it is also scleritis and degeneration of the sclera in pathological myopia. Then posterior staphyloma. Posterior staphyloma is present posteriorly, and here weak sclera, and here sclera is also lined by choroidal tissues. It may be occur in the pathological myopia or posterior scleritis or perforating injury. These are the causes, and it is diagnosed by ophthalmoscopy examinations or USG, ultrasonography, and that area is excavated with the retinal vessels dipping in, just like the marked cupping of the optic disc in glaucoma. There is hollow groove is present on ophthalmoscopic examinations, and it look like the vessels are deepening here, like cupping in the glaucoma optic disc.